But I think actually they're living in a closer sense of what a more comprehensive reality is than most of us. We live in a kind of little shallow space, and we imagine that that's all there is, and that is not all there is.
So I took a deep dive into that connection to nature, and also when you make that kind of connection in solitude, you also receive a tremendous initiation into the essence of your own nature. So I began to discover an essence inside of myself which seemed to be a kind of more basic, fundamental place where real joy and happiness lay. And in the stillness and the silence of being in outer nature, inner nature was revealed.
Is that it doesn't come from a school, it doesn't come from a degree or a book, it comes from within. And it's that access to universal consciousness, it's access to the spirit and intelligence of God that's within us that truly informs our spiritual awakening. So one of the things that's happening in our culture today is people are starting to wake up and realize that spirituality is not about belief. It's not about what group you belong to, and it's actually in some ways not even about what you do. It's about your consciousness, and that means it's about experience.
It results from man's attempt to explore nature, to come to know his own inner self, essentially a part of nature, and the essence of the cosmos. This God, referred to as the infinite, the ineffable, the changeless root of all being, is the presence within the heart of each person. It is within every rock, every leaf, every tree. All forms of substance are rooted in its eternal being. The whole cosmos, all creation, is a oneness, a unity.
I had somehow passed through the condition, and now I was exultant, filled with the joy and knowledge that I was actually one with the life in nature, with every living creature and living thing. Shortly after, I realized immortality.
The life that you are and the life that I am can never be destroyed. The essence of every life form is eternal. It derives from the One. It's an expression of the One.
Well, my mother and father were part of a rather unusual circle in Concord. Do you know the word transcendentalist?
But this is German romantic philosophy. We throw off all our constraints and we come to know ourselves through insight and experience.
I am not an earth, nor an adjunct of an earth. I am the mate and companion of people, all just as immortal and fathomless as myself. They do not know how immortal, but I know.
I suddenly realized that the molecules of my body, the molecules of the spacecraft and of my partners, had been prototyped, maybe manufactured in some ancient generation of stars. But instead of being an intellectual experience, that was a personal feeling. Those were my molecules.
The universe knows what it's doing.
I wish I had your faith in the universe. I just don't see it sometimes.
Then I will tell you a great secret, Captain. Perhaps the greatest of all time. The molecules of your body are the same molecules that make up this station, and the nebula outside that burn inside the stars themselves. We are star stuff. We are the universe made manifest, trying to figure itself out.
Till that moment, I always knew myself as, this is me, that is somebody else. Suddenly, I did not know which is me and which is not me. But this was something else. I was bursting with a completely different kind of blissfulness and ecstasy, which my body couldn't hold.
Well, the one perhaps that I'd like to relate is the one which affected me most profoundly was a mystical experience I had when I was a boy of 14. Just gone out for a walk and I was lying under a tree and just enjoying the sounds and the scents of summer, and the sun was flickering through the leaves of the tree, and my mind just went blank, and at that time I was filled and surrounded by an incredible white light. And I felt the most incredible love, the most fantastic love that you could ever imagine, far greater than any love you could experience on earth, filling me, surrounding me, embracing me. It was beyond description. I had a sense of presence, but didn't see anybody. The reality of that experience and the oneness, I found that I was one with, during that period in this experience, I was one with everything. And all knowledge was mine, and anything which I didn't know, I knew immediately. And it was so real, so far more vividly real than me talking to you at this particular moment in time. Except the memory of that knowledge, the memory of that reality, that greater reality.
And then I suddenly felt like I was looking at these thoughts from another perspective, and I wondered, who is it that's aware that I'm thinking? And suddenly I was thrown into this expansive, amazing feeling of freedom from myself, from my problems. I saw that I was bigger than what I do. I was bigger than my body. I was everything and everyone. I was no longer a fragment of the universe. I was the universe.
There is a perfect plan, and I remember this phrase, and the plan is working itself out in its perfection. And this is while I was still merged with the light. When it came into my field of vision and was kind of everywhere, it did come toward me, and I also went out toward it. I mean, my field of consciousness, my spirit, whatever I was in that dimension, I could feel reaching out for it too, until we did totally merge. And that's when the ecstasy started, and the rapture and the bliss. And I had no thoughts. It is so intense. You're just there in it. Just all the peace. I knew that I was immortal, that I was eternal, that I was totally safe, that nothing could ever happen to me, that I couldn't fall off the universe or into a crack in the universe. It was just total safety and total knowledge of my eternalness. I knew that I always had existed and that I always would exist. But these were not thoughts of mine. These were what was coming into me. This was what was being given to me.